Or it's kind of like, you know, maybe being a home team referee, where I'm going to make a certain number of calls to go the home team's way because I have a vested interest in that team now that I'm the owner of this soccer team. So I might actually make poor judgments that are in favor of the team that I'm for. I might actually create rules that favor my team. And what's going to happen in that scenario is eventually the other teams are going to get demoralized. So let's just say eventually the teams are going to leave the league. They're not going to be interested. They're greedy for a win. But if we're in a system where the referees and the teams are together and working together, then other people are eventually going to drop out. Well, if we're looking at it in terms of industries, other companies are going to drop out. One of the big issues right now is healthcare. Okay, if we create a public option for healthcare or a government-run option for healthcare, then is that going to create this sort of a scenario where there's going to be a tendency, whether an economic tendency through us paying taxes to support this government option, which is the only way the government can raise the money to have this option is through taxpayers, then basically we're siphoning off money that we could have put into developing our own private teams, and we're developing the public team. So that's one example of how competition can be decreased over time. The investment just goes away because the rules are tipped in favor of the team that the referee is for. So that all goes away. And in a way, I don't really own the fruit of my labor at this point because, you know, maybe I can't win the game anymore because the rules aren't fair. Or maybe I do win the game, and then at the end of the game, the referee blows the whistle and says, "Oh, I'm changing the rules, and I'm giving a goal to the other team." So, so there's not really a sense of fair competition when these two entities can combine and come together. So the third option is the communist option. So let's talk about that. In a communist system, as we've talked about in previous sessions, nobody owns the product of their labor. Nobody owns the rewards of their labor. So only the government owns everything. All the property, all the results of everything are government owned. So again, everybody's greedy. And it doesn't really matter. There are no rules to enforce a fair playing ground here. The government creates the rules, and the government controls the results, and the government calls the shots. So the rules and the judgment of the rules and the results are all controlled by the referee. So basically the referee determines who wins and who loses here. And as greedy as I am and as greedy as the other teams might be, it always goes back to what the referee wants, because everything's controlled by the referee. So there's not much of a attitude of competition in this sort of an environment. And unfortunately, if everybody's greedy and the referee has all the power, then the referee is going to declare whatever the referee wants, and that greed goes unchecked. The fascist system, the greed is slightly checked, but tipped in the favor of the referee, so in the private company or the private team that the referee is involved with. So really, the free market system, in my opinion, is the only system that directly addresses greed. It creates fair playing ground, fair refereeing in terms of the ref has to show good judgment and play by the rules. The ref can't change the rules, and the ref is supposed to be fair with every team involved. So So to me, the free market capitalist system actually promotes competition and fairness and gives everybody a chance to be the champion of the soccer league here. So I think that shows up for anybody who's been to a communist country. When you see that there's no competition, there's actually less inspiration to do things that are going to be greater. If you look at, for example, the architecture in several of the communist areas, or the art, there's no incentive for me to create great art if I'm not going to be able to own that art after I make it or be rewarded for it. If the government says, here, make me a sculpture for $400, I'm just going to make them a $400 sculpture. I'm not going to make them a $2,000 sculpture because the government won't have to pay me $2,000 for it. There's no control over the value of things because the government just states whatever they want, and that's what they do, since they control all the means of production and the money supply. So I would say in a communist system, the greedy people who end up in government end up being able to do whatever they want because there's no checks and balances. And to a certain degree that happens in a fascist system where private business is able to team up with government and tip the scales in their favor, so there's not going to be competition in the long run in that scenario either, and there's not going to be fairness. So that system will head towards an oligarchy or an oligopoly in different industries, or even a straight-up monopoly. So I think everybody knows pretty well that monopolies tend to be a little bit tough on people because they can set the prices for whatever they want. So really, competition's a good thing. And again, if you're the type of person who prescribes to the idea that capitalism is greedy, I would just say take a look at all the other systems out there and see which system actually deals with greed and keeps it in check, versus the system that allows the greedy to find some niche where they can take advantage of everybody else. So anyhow, hopefully this raises some interesting ideas that you can think about when you're thinking about the role of government in this country at this point as it's changing, whether or not we want to have more government options, public options, or whether we want to have more competition. Alright, thanks a lot. I hope you enjoyed the soccer analogy. Bye.